Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Captain's Table. Good that we've got such a good showing to come and meet with Nikki Beaumont. I'm Tony Hall, for those of you that we haven't met before. I specialise in helping to grow recruitment companies. I sit on boards of recruitment companies, help to grow them. I've run recruitment companies and own recruitment companies, and still very passionate 20 odd years later in helping to improve and to grow recruitment firms. And during that journey I've had the great pleasure of meeting people like Nikki, and Nikki's been a great supporter of our group Captain's Table, which is a forum to share knowledge and ideas that can really help with the improvement and growth of recruitment companies. And I want to especially thank our supporters who have helped us through thick and through thin, supporting Captain's Table. That's Job Ad A Positive and Ayers Group and William Buck, and also Digit Pro. So we've got 5 supporters, and we've got representatives from some of those companies here today. So thank you for sharing with us. We've got a good group today. We've still got a lot that said they're coming, but they can't. Hence, we've got a recording. So we'll be able to put that online, and we'll be sending it to everyone that did reply. So let me introduce Nikki Beaumont. Nikki has supported Captain's Table since the very beginning. And Nikki, thank you first of all for all your support at Captain's Table. And then I said to Nikki, how about, you've got a very unique recruitment company and a very unique recruitment story. Would you come and share it with us?
Yeah,
and Nikki said, no problem, ask me anything. All right, so I'm telling you all, she said, ask her anything. All right, so let's...
Might not tell you. No, but I'm very transparent, very open, very happy to share.
Yeah, so Nikki, thank you. And thanks also for travelling to Melbourne tomorrow too, a special mention to do Captain's Table Melbourne also. So, Nikki, let's start. Your journey in recruitment, how did it all start for you?
I fell into recruitment by accident when I was literally not far out of university. Was temping, and so fell into recruitment. The recruitment agency said to me back when I was 21 years old, have you ever thought about recruitment? To which I probably replied, no, I don't know what you do. But I was interviewed and they took me on, and it was, I have to be honest, the beginning for me in recruitment wasn't that pleasant or wasn't that fun. The manager that I had was just bloody awful. You know, she really was. There was no team. It wasn't a great environment. But somehow, you know, tenacity and determination was clearly there from the beginning. But somehow I stayed on, and that manager went, another manager came, a team was grown. I certainly somehow learned the trade of being a recruiter and went from strength to strength in a small team back in the UK. And I do hate to admit this, but in Scunthorpe. Some people have heard of the town Scunthorpe. My recruitment career started in Scunthorpe in the UK. So it went from strength to strength over the years and came out to Australia in 2000.
What brought you out to Australia?
To be part of the Olympic Games. So I was with Adecco in the UK at the time, and Adecco won the contract of sponsoring the Sydney Olympics from the recruitment and people perspective. So, you know, that started many years before I came here, but when I heard about it, and I have family and connections in Australia anyway, I was ready for a move. I was like, I really want to be part of that. To which, of course, Adecco was like, no, we're not sending people from the UK to Australia. There's plenty of people in Australia who want to be part of it. No, you're not going. To which, of course, the tenacity and determination came in and they sent me. And when I got here, I was just kind of involved and a little bit lost. I didn't actually, the Australians didn't know what to do. Why? Who is this girl? We don't even need her. You know, what are we going to do with her? Was the initial response. And then I was given the job of General Manager of Olympic Recruitment within a few weeks of being here. So that's kind of how I got to come and stay.
You would have seen it all during the Olympics?
I saw a lot. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. And after that, I was like, well, if I can do that, I can do anything. Right. And starting my own recruitment business was always on the cards. You know, my years in the UK in being very successful in the roles that I had, people around me would always say, you should set up on your own, Nikki. You know, I've been an entrepreneur since being a small child. I think my first business was age 4 years old, and you know, so I'm from an entrepreneurial-ish family. I say ish, but entrepreneur was always in my blood, and I always saw things slightly differently to whoever I was working for. So it was always there that was going to happen, and the right time was then.
What year did you start?
2001.
Okay, so right after, a year after the Olympics.
Yeah.
And what was your thought process of the type of recruitment business that you would start with? And tell us about that.
Naive compared to what I know now. How very naive I was, and really didn't have the skills that I needed to set up a successful recruitment business as I have today. Luckily, the tenacity and determination came in once again. I was new to Australia. I'd run the Olympics project, but I didn't know the difference between ANZ and AMP, and maybe I actually still don't. I couldn't find my way from Central to Wynyard. I really had no understanding of really the recruitment market in Australia. I really didn't. I had no connections. I knew no clients. I really didn't know anybody except my little Olympic bubble and my social circle when I started. So, I really was coming in blind. And I'd worked for the big boys, the Adecos and the Manpowers. I worked with a smaller boutique who has to do everything, So I was really naive. And anyway, tenacity and determination, I decided to set up. And I had this theory that call centre recruitment was where I needed to be. I'd got lots of experience in that over the years. But call centre recruitment, which was quality call centre, not your bums on seats, more of this is a real quality specific recruitment.
More customer service.
Much more service focused, yeah. So that was my idea. It wasn't the reality. I soon found out. So I branched into this and I branched into that, and was faced with so many challenges in those early years. But somehow I managed to get some wins and managed to survive, and over the years get to where we are. But through many learnings and many mistakes and many wrong turns.
We'd like to talk about some of them because I think that's some of the really important information that would be good to share. So maybe specialisation, if you can tell us a little bit about your journey around how you did decide to specialise in areas, what didn't work is particularly interested, and why you then made some changes from those areas, if you could think back a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think specialisation now, when I look back, has been key for us, for me. When I worked for Adecos and then Manpowers, we were very generalist. We were generalist office support, blue collar, back in my Manpower days more. And it was very generalist. We weren't specialist at anything. So I hadn't actually come from that environment of understanding specialisations. But I kind of fell into it here we were very generalist in those early days because the call centre wasn't quite happening. So what I knew was generalist office support. So we kind of there's a job for receptionist, let's go for that. And so we broadened out into that. And then I was hiring a consultant. Her name's Kath, and she was attracted to the organisation. We were literally very generalist at the time, but she was from a finance and banking background. And she came in and it was like, why waste all that finance and banking experience in office support? That you're connected. Let's focus. There was really no strategy back then. So that's what she did. And the difference in her focusing, and we developed that team. And so we separated the teams, and then we developed another team that was specialist from there, looking at our entire client base. So that's where it started, my realisation of the value of specialisation. And then it only really fully evolved, I think, we made lots of mistakes. We tried to get IT running for a while because we were thinking as the business evolved, and accounting and finance never really worked for us either. We were thinking, okay, we've got all of these clients that we work with. What can we do as we grow that connects with all of those clients, which is not leading us necessarily in a different path, but connects?
What else could you provide?
So we tried that a couple of times. Accounts didn't work and IT didn't work. And you know why it didn't work now? One, probably my strategy on it wasn't strong enough. Two, I didn't have the right people in the roles. I actually didn't. Here we are as recruiters. We've all done it, We're expert recruiters, we know what we're doing, and then we recruit the wrong people for our own organisation. So that is honestly, I think, what was wrong at that time.
Yeah.
Timing wasn't wrong, the strategy wasn't strong enough, the culture that we had wasn't certainly what it is today. But when I really did learn the value of specialising and really had evolved, what's all the learnings, what's all the mistakes that I've made, what can I learn, how can I apply, moving forward, was when we opened up the charity team.
That was the turning point, was it?
That was the turning point, and the years of evolving that charity team and what we learned and really specialising and really going out to the charities and going, this team, we just deal with charities, that's all we do. We don't do any other recruitment, we only specialise and we know you, and we're immersing ourselves in your industry, we're creating talent pools, we're supporting you as an industry, and we want to be part of you. That for us was really an amazing success, how that grew. I mean, there's lots of other reasons why the charity grew. Obviously, as many of you know, we offer only the very lowest recruitment fees that cover our base costs, so that we give basically charities back the difference in what the recruitment fee would be to what we charge them, which is our way of saving charities money. And as of last week, a couple of months ago now, we clocked on saving charities $30 million in recruitment fees. Which sounds like a big number, that doesn't it?
So was that the bulk of your business at the time, in 2010, was charity?
No, that was growing. We were still very generalist here with some banking and finance, etc.
Right.
But charity was our first really successful specialisation.
Okay.
And then from there, we went, okay, what other areas do we want to specialise in that fits with what we know, the clients that we're already across? And then we evolved from there. So out of charities, then the next one was associations and memberships. And so that is a huge success story for us. And associations and memberships, we were kind of working with them because some of them are charities, so they were kind of falling under our charity rates, even though they weren't charities.
Yeah.
They were enjoying the cheap fees, fees, you know. So they were really enjoying that, and we were getting lots of success there. So we actually separated that into its own division. So we now have a team of 4/5, 6 that just work in associations and memberships. You know, Teachers Association, the Recruitment Association, but there's one for everything. There's associations that you would never even imagine. And nobody else specialised in it, which was great. You know, there isn't another recruiter out there, you know, tell me if I'm wrong, that I know that has an entire team that just specialises in associations. And we've immersed ourselves in that industry. And then we've added on health and community services and education and ICT and on from there.
So we're up to the present now? Pretty much. Okay. Any other lessons along the way to get from where you started to what you got to now?
Hundreds.
Hundreds, okay.
I mean, lessons are absolutely specialisation key, and immersing yourselves in an industry, creating teams, solid, successful teams around specialisation, supporting each other, sharing effectiveness, all of those things. We still struggle with our commercial corporate side of our business, our general office support side. We struggle with because we don't have necessarily a clear niche and direction. The specialisations outperform by far the others.
Right.
People has been key, and we know that stuff, but do we continue to make mistakes? Yes, we do. I'm a sucker for just really loving people. I'm a sucker for thinking everybody can be successful and seeing the fabulous and the beauty in people and seeing potential. I see potential in people that they would have no idea and see in themselves, you know, but I'm not always able to harness and nurture it for them to be successful. And I make that mistake often. And luckily I've got a great team around me now that stopped making that mistake as often as I used to. But yeah, people are absolutely key. And when we've been the most successful over the years, it's when we've had the people that you can see are successful.
Yeah.
And when we've had good, solid strategy around us.
So good people and good strategy.
Yeah.
I think we're going to come back to that in a minute, but can you tell us what the business looks like now? Total staff, your locations, decisions you made about locations would be interesting. And
like how did we end up with Byron?
Yeah. How did you end up with a Byron Bay office? Anyone else got a Byron Bay office, or anyone want one? Yes.
Yeah,
Everybody. Right?
Everybody wants to come to Byron.
Everyone.
Yep, no problem hiring in Byron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're currently about 67, maybe 70 by now. They hire people all the time and I don't get involved. I do when I can, but I think we're about 67, 70. We've almost doubled in the past 12 months. Obviously, massively talent short market that we're all in. Great times for us as recruiters. They're the happy times. Much easier time for us to be in than the job short market. That's never fun. So I looked at some of the stats in terms of the mix of people that we've got, because I thought you might find that quite interesting. About 50% of our workforce are recruiters. About 20% of our workforce are associates or resources, depending on how you term those, but they're the support that work with the recruiters at different levels, but you know, they're the admin, they're the referencing, they're the put the jobs on seat, they're the shortlist and interviewing, depending on where they sit with what consultant. but there are wannabe consultants, so that's, you know, our career pathways moving forward. So 20% of our workforce are associates, and that model works beautifully for us.
Do they have recruitment experience before, or do you source them from outside recruitment? Both. Okay.
So that takes us up to about 70-75% of our workforce are involved in billings. There's another 3-4% of our workforce is consulting team, so that's your career coaching, your outplacement, your masterclasses, your training, all that stuff. And then 20-25% is operational, marketing, executive leadership team. So that's the breakdown. We office locations here. We've been here 6 years now. We've been in Sydney obviously from the beginning. Over the time we had an office in Chatswood and Parramatta and brought that back in. We opened up Byron randomly, would be 7 years ago now. How did that come about? Absolutely great question. I had a consultant that used to work for me in Sydney that moved up to Byron, left recruitment, was working in real estate, always had a great relationship with her. If ever I went to Byron, and I always loved Byron, if ever I went to Byron, we always caught up. She was working for another agency then for a while. She went from real estate back into agency. She was working for an agency in Byron. There is one in Byron, they're mostly blue collar and tech. And she used to say, Nikki, whenever you open up an agency up here, I'm coming back to you because they don't do things like you do. They don't see things like you see. You know, they're not customer focused enough, client or candidate. And I keep trying to say, we need to do things like this, and we need to look at things in a different lens or a different perspective, and they don't see it and they don't want to. And I'm struggling. Her values and their values weren't aligned. And I used to say, yeah, well, when I open an office in Byron, I'll come and tap you on the shoulder. You know, we always had this. And then I was actually travelling around Australia for a year with my family, and she called me out of the blue and said, that's it, I need to leave. I need to set up an office for you in Byron. I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm in Birdsville at the moment. Timing's not that great, you know, and it's always been an idea, but I'm not quite sure if I'm ready. She says, well, I'm ready. I said, okay, go do your business plan, you know. So she did. So she went away and did me a business plan. I'd learned, obviously, but it's probably a better idea to have a plan rather than just fly by the seat of your pants that I've made many mistakes over the years. Do your plan. So she did a plan. And, you know, I was like, I've got a really high risk profile. I'm a give it a go kind of girl, you know, like what have you got to lose? Have a go. With a plan now. And so, you know what, she was so keen. I always loved her, always loved working with her. I went, you know what, let's just give it a go, why not? So she started on her own. And the first few years, I have to be honest, was a slog.
What was the target market?
Generalist, mostly, because, you know, Byron's a small area, and it's not just Byron, and we've evolved massively now. But that's how it started. We now have a team of 12, 15 people.
That's incredible.
In Byron, Gold Coast, Brisbane, and continuing to grow. I did 2 interviews yesterday of people who want to join the Byron office, because people do, and they can now, you know. They can go up to Byron and they've got a job, whether they work in Byron or not. You know, the partner can come with them. So Byron's become very popular, and the Gold Coast and all of that area. So we now have Sydney, Byron, we have an office in Gold Coast, and we have people that are based in Brisbane, and soon to have somebody in Melbourne.
Really? Very good.
Yeah. So that's actual specialisations, well, they're there on the board.
Yeah.
Associations, health and social care, education, charities, ICT, which is not on their business services, and contact centre and sales. For the bulk of what they do is, you know, we sit as his own practice area.
Oh, great story. Nikki, a lot of recruitment owners think about expanding into other markets. There's 2 schools of thoughts. One school of thought says really specialise, stay in your market, know your market, build relationships. Another school of thought says diversify, grow your market. If you're already tapped out your specialty in your local market, you should expand into other markets. What advice, seeing you've gone through that journey, would you give people around expanding geographically?
So I think first of all, if you've got a specialisation that's working for you, my first question would be, is there capacity for that to grow in that specialisation that you know and love and are connected to you, first and foremost? So where's the opportunity for you to continue to grow what you know and are good at and known for? And if there's an opportunity there, I would look there before looking at starting something new, because you're building on what you've already got. Yes. That seems to me the sensible thing.
Cheaper and
that's
less
what
risk.
we've done. Yeah.
Yep.
But there is an element of going, depending on what your specialisation, and you know, to be fair, if you look at some of the things that we've grown in health and social care for 1, education for 2, ICT for 3. They've actually been quite proactively grown because of future-proofing our business. For, well, what is the future? You know, where will we go? What if there is a downturn? How do we protect ourselves? So some of the decisions that we've made have been, you know, we've already been working within education, within our generalist business, and gone, okay, how can we pull that? We've already got to start and grow it and specialise it to be its own significant practice or chain. Because we believe that when there is a downturn, people then go back to training, go back to education, and their needs will be there. The same with health and social care. We all know the reasons why one would maybe look at that, and the same with ICT. You can understand why we chose accounting and finance roles for that very reason in the first GFC. Didn't work for us. And we chose ICT then, didn't work for us. But now I look back and go, actually the people and the strategy weren't strong enough then.
It was the people, not the market. Yeah.
It was. The opportunities were maybe there. And look, I also worry about evolving in something that's already, the market's already saturated. So the reason that we've been successful with our ICT team, which is currently a team of 4, and that's only a year old, I think is because we're working on our current clients for the most part still. When the people that we've got are the right people in the business. So there's a couple of things there, but we're still working across our own client base. The clients don't know and love us and go, oh, you can help us with those roles now. We haven't needed to branch out elsewhere yet.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to our next topic, and we're going to go to the audience for their questions. So, so you all please think of the questions you'd like to ask Nikki when we finish the Q&A part of our session. And I think, you know, we've talked about location, we've talked about specialisation. You've mentioned twice it all depends on the people, Nikki.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, we're in a people business, let's face it. What have you learnt about the people side of the business and attracting good people into your business, and as you expand? What have you learned, and what could you be doing differently, and what's your attraction strategy now, I guess?
Okay. I mean, look, I have learned that it's easy to get wrong. We've done that a lot of times. I definitely have learned the difference when you've got really good, solid people who are right for the role and fit the role and the culture and the environment and the opportunities. You know, massive difference. We have grown and evolved massively over the last 20 years. Where we are now is different to where we were 5 years ago and 10 years ago. The culture that we have, the quality of people that we have now is definitely different and better. I've just had somebody return to Beaumont who worked for me 20 years ago, and when we were small, and even though we were fabulous in some ways then, yes, maybe we were, she says we were, and hence why she's kept a relationship with me and come back to me 20 years on. Now she comes in and goes, oh my God. And I actually had someone else who came back to me 10 years after recently, who worked for me 10 years ago during those GFC times when it was tough, and when we had maybe a few of the not quite the right people with quite the right culture. She's come back and gone, oh my God, you have evolved so much. So I know that we have, and I've certainly heard that. And I think there's lots of things. We've been very proactive about how we've evolved from a people perspective, and how we've evolved as a recruitment business to support those people, to recruit the right people, to give them the tools and the skills and the training. And when I took Nina Mapson-Bone, our managing director, on 7 years ago in a few weeks' time, I had some key things that she needed to do. And what I could see was that one of the things that we needed to do was spend some time just training and developing our people even more to be the best that they could be. Because as a small business, the training and development that we were doing was okay, it was limited. We were using a bit of Ross Clement, we were using a bit of Greg Savage, etc., a bit of RCSA, we were doing some stuff ourselves, but it wasn't enough. There were good recruiters, but they weren't great recruiters. And I said, all I need you to do is provide them with the support, with the tools, with the knowledge for them to move from being good recruiters to great recruiters. And I measured what the average billings were. So the average billings at the time were 21,000 across all the recruiters. That's what our average billings were per month. 21,000. I said, all I need you to do, and by the way, she was more expensive than I wanted to pay, but I knew she was good. I was like, if I'm going to pay that much more to hire you, and that was my budget, then I need you to make that difference. And you can do it because I've got 20 recruiters, and they're averaging 21,000. They should be averaging 30 or above at the very least. Move them from 21 to 25. Because if you do, not only will that pay for you, because you're more expensive than I was having to pay, which this was exactly what the conversation was, not only will it do that, it will make them all successful. They will all have better training, better support. So the long and the short of it is that's what we did. That's what she did. She's doubled and tripled that now.
And you developed your own in-house program to do that?
Yeah, we did develop our own in-house program, which we call CPD. And lots
what
of
do you call
other
it, sorry?
CPD, Continual Professional Development, which we run every week. And brown bags, as we call them, which was lunchtime training and all sorts. But we've evolved a culture of continual professional development and training for everybody in the organisation, constantly looking at how and what and why we do things and evolving it and being better and better and sharing and buddying and mentoring. So that has been a big focus to get us to where we've done that. We've changed the culture over the years, absolutely.
Can you tell us about that culture change? Because that's interesting.
I think we redefined our values, we redefined our purpose, and we really just stopped as a company and went, what's important to us, what are we here to do? And I think, our culture, like many, was a little bit about making a placement. We actually don't talk so much about making a placement, or in Techland, a deal. If I hear that, I'm like, oh. We were really actually much more about placing people into meaningful work. And looking at the importance of what we really do here as an agency. We're not about making money. Yeah, we do make money. We make good money, and the consultants make really great money. We do. But that's the result of the good work that we do. Placing people into meaningful work, supporting our clients to be the best that they can be and do the job that they're doing by them having the best people that they can have when they need them. So we really re-looked at how we were doing that and what we were doing and what our focus areas were. And we helped internally as an organisation. I think we've always had a good culture. We used to probably have a little bit of a culture of beating the stick if people didn't do what they were supposed to do.
That's traditional recruitment, right?
Completely gone. All that KPIs, beat them with the stick if they don't hit the KPIs. It was how some of my older managers managed.
Okay.
My newer managers do not manage. We manage from the bottom up. We manage with support. We manage with encouragement. We manage with where are you at? What do you need to achieve? What's important for you? How are you doing? What support do you need to be successful?
Okay.
Where can I see that there might be gaps to help you be more successful? So we manage from the ground up on a supportive environment. And I think in the olden days, we were more of a, what's the consequences of you not doing your 10 business week or whatever it was? There were KPIs. And we have goals, bigger goals as a business that we're all driving to now. Some people have KPIs, maybe the more juniors or those who are struggling at the moment, but it's not the way that we work now.
Benefits for your people? Do you have something that's a bit outside the usual, that's not typical in the industry to attract and retain staff?
We do, and I think having that focus on our people has been, changing for us. Really thinking about their environment and how we support and look after our people to give them the best opportunities so that we can actually then work with our clients and almost showcase to our clients what's possible to create the best working environment. So over the years, some of you may well be aware we introduced the 4-day week pre-COVID, and then we introduced the gender neutral parental leave scheme, and in a business that at that time was 95% women, everybody told me I was nuts to introduce that, and it was a challenging one to work out how we could do it without sending ourselves backwards, but we did, and we have, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It was easy to do the gender neutral bit because we didn't have so many guys, but we do now. So we've done those things, and of course more recently, the opportunity for the flexible work practices that we have, and move up to Byron Bay if you want to. There's some of the things. Our career pathways has helped us enormously in our recruitment and retention. We've really made a significant effort to have a look at our career pathways because we're only a relatively small business. And you think that maybe you can't do stuff, but you can. And so looking at what we can do and how we can support people through their journey, and what are the milestones that they can achieve along the way. That's been gold for us, because people have gone, okay, so if I reach that, then I can. And another thing that we've done in terms of our career pathways and recruitment and retention is we've looked at some of our long-termers. We've got people who've been with us for years, 14 years. You know, we've got some really long-serving people within the business, 14, 15, 16 years, you know. We've gone, okay, how are we rewarding those people? What are we giving those people? How valuable are they to us, and what extra can we give? Because we really want to retain them for the long. Not just because they love it, not just because the culture's right, and not just because they actually know us so damn well now, and probably if they come out to Byron, stay with me. You know, not because of that, but because we're actually rewarding them, and we've looked at other ways to reward them, and we've looked at it from the lens of, you know, if somebody's billing over $1 million a year, this is the classic remuneration and reward structure that's wrapped around them. But if we lost that person, what would that loss be? So you know, what extra can we give them? You know, things like an additional $5,000 a year for their own professional development, spend however they like. You know, additional, we have a workplace wellness system, Select Wellness, where everybody in the business gets 3 counselling sessions or versions of it for themselves and their family, extras for those people who've been with us a long time, who are high performers. Our trips to Hamilton Island that we do every year, that we've done for 10 years, 2 weeks' time, we're taking everyone to the snow. You know, so it's all of those types of things that, yeah, actually they can be really costly, but not so costly when you think about the attraction, the return on investment, the retention, and all of those things. And also, you know, take people to Hamilton Island for 3 nights, which we've been doing for 10 years, and it is an incentive, but the value of those people being together, having fun, getting to know each other more, is just gold.
Do you conference as well, or is it purely just
I do
social?
Conferences as well. That's no, Hamilton Island's fun stuff.
It's fun. Okay.
That's fun stuff. Snow, fun stuff.
Snow's fun stuff.
Yeah, conference, that's conference stuff and fun stuff.
You separate them out. Brilliant. And have you noticed your staff turnover levels have declined dramatically when you have implemented all this stuff since the early days?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we still have staff turnover.
Yeah.
You know, we do. We were just talking about it. We just had a leadership retreat away for a couple of nights this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just got back from that yesterday. Still have some turnover, and we're talking about that and going, well, there's good turnover. You know, there's turnover. There's lots of turnover for different reasons. There's turnover that we would prefer to avoid. Yeah, absolutely. We experience that like everybody else. I think less so. And, you know, because the way that we work with the associates, we're bringing people in to support the consultants, and they grow with the business and they become our future recruiters. You know, that's how we're able to go from 35 staff to 70 staff in the last 12 months. That model has been absolutely gold for us, as well as retains the consultants, because they go, oh, I don't have to do all the admin that I used to do because someone else does that for me, and they can do all of that, and I can talk to clients all day. So they love that even more. But those associates are the ones that we have the highest turnover with, because they're brand new, they come into the recruitment industry with all the best intentions, but, you know, we probably get about 25% that come through and they don't work out. They come in and go, oh, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, you know, well, we can tell you that. But, you know, so we do get turnover there, yes. We don't get a lot of turnover in the consulting stuff or the corporate stuff, really.
Because they'd be crazy to go anywhere else, given what a good wicket they're on, right?
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Fine.
All right. One of the critical issues in the current market, Nikki, is we've gone through COVID, which has happened in markets all around the world, of course. How have you been responding? You went to a 4-day week before even COVID, so you could have been the first company to really do that. I think there's maybe a couple of in America that have started doing it. But what have you learned from the process? How are you able to maintain A, culture, and B, productivity with a large proportion of workforce still working from home?
Yeah. Well, we've done it. We have done it because we've become even more productive. And the 4-day week, it's been interesting, challenging, successful, very successful. And I introduced the 4-day week as I heard about it and went, oh my God, I love that. I absolutely love that. I really want to do that. The management team did not feel the same in the beginning. They were like, that is not going to work. How are we going to make that work? Everybody's working their arse off, Nikki. How the hell is that going to work? And I went, I understand that, but I think I come from a lens of, give me something that people don't think that can work and it's a challenge and I'll prove them wrong. You know, I am a bit like that. I don't know where that's come from. But I do, but my team will say, what everybody else thinks is not possible, Nikki will make it possible and think it's possible. And I'm a bit, you know, like going around Australia for a year with my family when I own a business like this, it was people like, that won't happen. I was like, it will. So I just break it down into the challenges. And the thing I learned with introducing the 4-day week, which was the gold, and I kind of knew this anyway, but the advice that I got from the beginning was, don't come in with your big management team, executive team boots and tell them how it's going to work. Come in and go, I'd really love this to work. Wouldn't this be fabulous if we could make this work? For the right reasons, I want you to have work-life balance. I know some people don't like that term, but you know, work-life balance like I've enjoyed as a business owner. I can take a day off if I want to. I want you to enjoy the same. So you tell us how it can work. You work through all of the reasons that it might not work. You work through the challenges. And having that philosophy of it's not me or the leadership team having all the answers. It's let's work collectively together. Let's hear your voice. We want your voice as to how this should work. And I think that's key. And that's been key with so many things.
What did they say? That would have been interesting to hear their feedback. What sort of things did they tell you?
Oh, look, when we first introduced the idea, half of the group cried. It was at the conference. They were like, oh my God, this is just amazing that you would even think that we could do this thing. And that, you know, that you get out there to allow us to do this. You know, they were like, this is the best thing ever, hence the retention, that you trust us enough and want us to have that quality of life. You're not more interested in how much more money can we make. You're more interested in us as people and our quality of life. So, you know, there was an absolute, this is great, but there was also the absolute fear. There was like, oh, now hang on, what's this going to mean to me? There was a lot of that. i.e., that's going to be all right, but if she's not there, then I'm going to get all her calls and I'm going to have to deal with it as well as deal with my stuff. And how do I do that? So there was all of that, of course there was.
How'd you work through that?
Well, they worked through it.
Did they?
I mean, that was the trick. It was to go, well, you work it through, you talk it through together and come back to us with the solutions. And as a management team, of course, we had ideas as how we thought it would work. And what the team came up with was actually not what I particularly thought would work. But I'd let it go. I'd say, okay, let's try it. I mean, my version in anything is, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's give it a go. And you know what, if something doesn't work, well, we'll find a way, we'll change it. So I do have I don't know if it's going to work, but let's give it a go. And we'll change as we go along. So they came up with things like, initially they went, okay, so if you're productive in that month, because we measure productivity now, not hours, so if you're productive in that month, then you get to do the 4-day week for that month. But you have to tell us which days you do it, because as a team we need to work it out. So you can't do Mondays every week. If you do Monday, you do Tuesday, you do Thursday, we'll do that as a team. And so you set it for the month. So that's how they started it. And I was like, it's a bit restrictive for me. How's that going to work? But anyway, if that's what you think is going to work, let it go. You do it. So they did that for the beginning, and then they went, oh, that doesn't really work. Because, you know, I chose to have Tuesday, but I've got so many jobs that I've just taken 10 temp jobs, I can't have Tuesday. I'm going to have Friday if I can. Is that all right, team? You know. So they've evolved, and it's evolved over the 2 years massively. But at the end of the day, the 4-day week works beautifully for us. Do people do it all the time? No, they don't. When they're really busy, they don't do it. When they can do it, they do, and they really appreciate that. Some people stick to it. They do it every week, and they do a Monday every week. Some people are like, and that's okay.
So it's earned. They have to be achieving for that month to be able to have it, right?
They have to be achieving. And we measured it in the beginning, like really closely. We don't measure it closely now. We'd probably say that we do, we don't really.
Okay.
No,
it's a trust.
It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a trust thing, yeah.
No, very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm nearly finished with what I was prepared to ask you, and I'm going to put it over to everyone else, so I hope you all are thinking about what you might ask Nikki. But the final thing I wanted to ask you, Nikki, is you've done some great things here. We're in a very changing market. We're in a very talent-short market.
Yes.
Can you comment on just 2 things for us before you go? Talent-short market, how you're dealing with that, and then secondly, how you see the future of recruitment. I think would be really interesting.
So talent short market, probably the same as you guys, like we're all the candidates. Exactly the same. Look, we're doing all the same things as I'm sure you're all doing, you know. Advertising, less on Seek, more on LinkedIn. LinkedIn recruiter licenses, gone out the window. There's so many, everybody wants one now. A lot more search, a lot of referrals, more use of the database, better use of the database, and we've still got a lot of work to do on that. But I think the trick for us is specialisation in the talent short market, because of course we're known for it. We know our talent pools. We're known to be the recruiters in the charity space. We're known to be the recruiters. So if somebody wants a job in charities, everybody goes, just go to Beaumont. So having that specialisation and being known is key. The other thing is having the relationships in the sector. We don't just recruit people into charities. We do massive amounts of other work to support charities. We're at all of their events. We sponsor things. We do leadership programs for charities. We do all sorts of things to get known for charities and to be part of that industry and sector. So that helps enormously. And that's where the referrals come from. But there's a lot of search going on. There's a lot more time and energy going in. Our fill rates have blown out compared to what they were. So the fill rates are going up, and we're kind of going, what can we do to bring that down? And the next thing for us, which we're just embarking on, is being a little bit smarter with our AI in terms of using the database. We've just been a little bit smarter on the tech than we've been, and I've avoided, we don't have a bot yet. Mm-hmm. We may not, I'm not sure yet. We're on that path. Yep. But we need to be smarter. I've been said 4 years ago, I'm the sort of person that 4 years ago says we really need to focus on our technology, on looking at changing and being smarter with our technology to do things for us, to allow us to do other things that are more important. And everyone went, no, we need to focus on customer service. Yeah. And I was like, no. And anyway, it's evolved, and here we are now going, there's certain elements of technology, and I'm on a big project with that in the business at the moment that we really need to implement.
Efficiency. Yeah.
Efficiencies and utilising things that maybe I wouldn't have even dreamed of years ago. So that's one. What was the other question?
Oh, the future of recruitment.
The future.
Yeah. You had a strategy day recently. Where do you see us all heading? Where's this market heading, and what are you doing to plan for it?
Look, one of the things that we do well, which hasn't come up yet, is all of our perm work, or well, I say all, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. 90% of the permanent roles that we work on, we do on retainer at all levels. So we don't work contingent anymore. We used to. We learned that years ago. And clients often go, oh, nobody else has said that they work on retained, which is, third of the fee when we take the job, third of the fee when we present the candidates, third of the fee when we place it. Not refundable along the way. And mostly, obviously, people in exec roles do that. We do it across the business. Give us a job for a junior, you'll be working retained. If you don't want to work retained, there's lots of other lovely agencies out there you can go work with. It's fine. We don't need it. Yep. So we've done that, and we started in charities for good reasons, and we've evolved that. So that, for me, is the future of recruitment, is to be stop working contingent, stop, in Greg Savage's wonderful words, stop, playing in the lolly shop or something like that, or dipping in the paddling pool.
We've been talking about it for 20 years, haven't we? And you've done something about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're encouraging everyone else to do something about it too, right?
And we've trained our people to do it, and we've trained our clients to do it, and our new clients are training them too. This is how it works. Yeah. So I think the future is recruitment come with just work retained as a business. You don't go to your accountant and go, okay, you have a go at my tax return, you have a go at my tax return, you have a go at my tax return, whoever gives me the best refund, the job is yours, I'll pay you. The rest of you can do the work, sorry mate. We don't do that, do we? We don't. No. Why do we do it in recruitment? I don't know. So I think, can we just please do that? That's one thing.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing that I've got to be in my bonnet about is people. Is we do place the cream of the crop. Yes, clients come to us and they pay us to get the best people. We're currently placing about 5% of the registrations of the people that come into our business and into our database. Only 5%. I want to know how I can place the other 95% at the moment. So I think as a recruitment industry, we need to get better at hand-holding candidates better. I've got to be in my bonnet about career coaching at the moment.
Okay.
Because candidates need hand-holding. They need career coaching. And I think there's an awful lot of people that get overlooked. I'm on a journey in diversity and inclusion at the moment. I'm on a journey to help people who've got barriers to work. And I think as a recruitment business, we all could do a lot better in that. I know, hand on heart, we have not done that well as a business in the years of having decent, diverse shortlists. We haven't.
Yeah.
And there's lots of reasons why we haven't, but we haven't,
No.
But that's changing.
Yeah.
And I'd love the recruitment industry to come along that journey too and go, you know what about those people that get overlooked? What about those people who don't have great resumes? What about those people who don't interview that well? What about those people who are in a bloody wheelchair? I saw Dylan Alcott speak at Talent X. Was anybody else at Talent X in Melbourne a few weeks ago? Oh my God. I saw Dylan Alcott at Tennis Space speak, and he was basically saying, recruitment industry, sort your stuff out and help people who have barriers to work who are being overlooked. There's something like 5 million people who've got a disability, of which 4 million of them are unemployed. We've got a talent short market, you know, this was the message. And I was like, oh my God, we're on the same page. I've been going on about this for a while. This is my journey. Can I hug you? So I think as a recruitment industry, we need to get better at that.
No. Good.
That's
good.
2 things. I could keep going.
Really good. No, I could too. But I want to hand it over to our audience today and have them ask you some questions. Nikki, that was excellent. Really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you guys.
Thanks, Nikki. Really interesting everything you said. I'm really interested, kind of segue, future of recruitment. What are your ideas around size of office space? Given COVID, given hybrid now is massive. You know, it's the one question that all of our candidates and execs are asking. Are they into hybrid? How much office space do you believe that a recruitment business needs versus hot desking versus letting your team work from wherever they want, ever how many days each week? Because there comes a time, you know, your size of your office space, is it commercially viable? Have we got too big, too small? Yeah. So I'm really
Absolutely. And look, I don't have the answers for everybody. I can tell you what we've done. And this office space we've been in 6 years now. So a year ago, the lease was up for renewal. And Nina and I were like, oh my God, what do we do? Because this is a bloody expensive office space. It's ridiculously expensive, which is all well and good when pre-COVID and everybody was in the office. It was a hard pill to swallow. I can tell you, when everyone was working from home in the place, I'm like, well, there's another $50,000 down the Swanee for March. There's another $50,000. Sorry, well, you know, but you can't get out of it. You're in a bloody lease, you know. So when our lease came up, our first thought was get rid of the space. Our first thought was downsize. Our first thought was find a smaller space, cut down the cost. We even actually went quite a long way down sharing our space with somebody else. In the, you know, people won't come in as often, people will be working from home, hot desk, etc., etc. So we went down, I didn't because I was in Byron and not here, but Nina looked at lots of space, etc. What we landed on was we're still here. What we landed on was, one, for us to move to a smaller space now means we've got to completely make good here and then make new space. That in itself is ridiculously expensive. We got a good deal to stay. Like at the time, the builder was like, please don't go. This is shit, please don't go and leave us. We'll let you have it really cheap if you stay. So we were like, okay. We did negotiate quite hard. So we decided to stay, but what we have now is a completely flexible work from home as much as you like, but highly encouraged to come into the office as teams and under the right environment, i.e. if you're back-to-back meetings, work from home. If you need to do deep work from home. If you need to work as a team and collaborate with your team, you've got people you want to share, connect, train, whatever, come in together as a team, and we are providing the space for you. So our space now is smaller than the team that works here. They all came in, we sat on each other's knees. So that's where we've landed. What we haven't done is reconfigured the space, because of course we don't interview in all these lovely interview rooms along here. We're not currently interviewing face to face, it's all on a screen, but what does happen is when everybody's in the big office and it's half empty today, there's probably 8 people in, what happens is they come in here and Zoom and do their interviews in here still. So we've changed the structure a little bit, we're still changing some of them at the moment, but we do have a come and go as you like, but we retained it because I still wanted a place where people could come and collaborate, and what I am doing is making sure that we have lots of opportunities for collaboration, hence the whole executive team having a 2-day retreat away on strategy, working together, because we don't all come together often enough, and providing the team with lots of opportunities. Had I not had this space and was starting again, I would look at some of the flexible workspaces that are around. and not the expensive 5-year lease that you're stuck with. I would look at more flexible spaces in the future personally. Yeah,
It's really tricky, isn't it?
It is. It's tricky, but I think let's not forget the value of working together. Yeah, we can all work from home behind the screen, and in the last 2 years we've done it. We've done it successfully. Great. Is it where we really want to be? No. We actually really enjoy it. And when the guys first, they were like, oh no, we don't really want to be here. Then they come in and go, oh, it's so good, isn't it? And yesterday, the office was really busy because I was in, we had a brunch meeting, and I didn't provide wine. Jeez. So we provide those things, and people come in and they love being together again. You know, so I think that's my answer to that is too. But it's whatever's right for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Very good. Someone else?
I was just going to add something to that. I think it also psychologically sends a message when you downsize space that we're downsizing the business. That sort of doesn't sit well with me. I mean, I'm fortunate. I think you've been to my space. It's different because where I am, I own the space. I can do whatever I want. But there's far fewer of us in the office, and sometimes you go, "Can we need all this?" Right? But I'm just worried about the psychology of people when you go, they have this, and then suddenly we've crammed into a small little thing because we're saving money now. Maybe the business isn't going so well, or what's the future? I think I understand people. And I think you made a good decision, a good negotiation there to stay here.
And you know what? We've started to bring clients back in. We've done events for years and years and years. We like to do events and bring clients into our space. We allow charities use our space all the time for meetings. They have their board comes in here, so people come in and go, oh, who's this? Beaumont, oh yeah, they do all of our recruitment. Oh, do they now? And I'm on the board, but I also work for such and such company. Are they good recruiting? Yes, they are. Great. You know, so we've done that for years. It's been very successful for us. And we're starting to do our live events now, and it's still tricky. There's still COVID out there. People get sick. People worry. Absolutely. But people are coming in, and people want connection. Again, I'm seeing that, and I think that's just going to continue to evolve. That people don't want it all the time, but people want connection again, I think.
Good point. Anyone else?
Hi, Nikki. Do you have any advice for small recruitment firms who are looking to scale or grow quite quickly? Any big mistakes you may have made earlier on in your career, or any key advice that you could offer us?
Yeah, look, I've made all those mistakes. Thank you. I've grown too quickly. My absolute advice would be grow for the right reasons, not just for the profit. You know, grow quickly for the right reason because demand is there, and know that the demand is there. When we grow, it's normally because we're at capacity, or we grow for the right reasons. The team's too small, and it needs to be bigger for the protection of the team, and for us to service the client better, or for us to offer career opportunities. So I think grow for the right reasons. Be careful about that growth. If you grow too quickly, it can obviously impact your profit massively, and you lose so much, it's harder to get it back. So we've really grown teams organically. And when I've forced growth, I found that's never been as successful. It's been an awful lot harder, rather than I've already got a solid base and I'm just going to add on a little bit more, then add on a little bit more. So slower growth. We've grown massively over this last year, but that's been demand-led. You know, the talent market, as we know, has been so short that it's been demand. And if we hadn't grown so much in some of the areas, we would have lost people because we were really at burnout. People who at one time were billing 40k a month, now billing 150k a month because of demand. So we've had to bring in more people because they're like, oh, I can't handle any more jobs. So we've grown because of demand and because it was the right thing to do. I struggle with growing too quickly, too fast. And also keeping control of those people as you are, you know, giving them the support, giving them the training, giving them the time, giving them the love, keeping them on track, you know, etc. If you grow so quickly, it's hard. Sorry, I'm 3 weeks off COVID, I'm still coughing. So yeah, that would be my advice.
On a similar line, you've spoken about how you always see the positive in people, and how much support and how many incentives that you've given your internal staff. But inevitably, with the business this size, you're going to have some poor performers. So I was interested to know how you and Nina and the team manage the poor performers.
Yeah, we do. And I think we manage poor performers with support, love, care and the right reasons, i.e. transparency in terms of what they're not performing, why they're not performing, what they can do, what support is available to them. So as hard as it is, sometimes, and sometimes really people do have to be managed out of a role, it's usually in the best interest for them because they're not happy, you know, they're not feeling successful. And our drivers are to have a happy team doing what they love, that come into the office every single day going, let me at it, I love it, I love working here, I love what I do, I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm supported. And so when we do get those people who are not performing, it's with transparency, it's openness, it's about ongoing support conversations, and that there's no surprises along the way. They know where they're going and what they're doing. So that's our aim. Do we get it right all the time? No, maybe we don't. You know, sometimes you get the old disgruntled employee that goes, you know, you didn't this, I didn't get that. You know, we try not to, but sometimes that happens, and I can think of one in the last 6 months that went that way, that didn't feel that they'd had the right support in their role, perhaps. But the intention is there, and that's how we do it. And we put a lot of time and energy into our people. Every single manager spends time every week with everybody in their team. It might be half an hour for some, it might be 2-3 hours for others, but they all have to have a one-to-one, all has to be recorded, and it is all about supporting from underneath, supporting that person to be successful. We use a lot of data, so we're very good at gathering lots of data. We're really good at gathering what people are doing and allowing them to see their own data and work together on that. And we're really good at it as a business, as teams, as individuals. So you can see what's going on. There's no surprises. But yeah, I think performing people, underperforming people with the right intentions, and sometimes getting to that hard conversation where you go, this isn't working for either of us. And then supporting those people gently out of the business and into new roles wherever possible. Can't hate it. I don't like it when people don't.
Very good, thanks, Nikki. Mohammed.
Beautiful presentation, Nikki, and thank you for hosting us. I've got 2 questions. One of them is, the first question is related to the last question, which you answered, which is how do you measure productivity? And you've touched data, but if you could dwell on that a little bit further, that would be great. And then my next question is around, I want to know, what have you sacrificed during the journey, so before versus now?
Okay, wow, okay. So productivity, we do measure productivity across all roles and in different ways. So different people are measuring productivity in different ways, whether you're in marketing or whether you're in finance or whether you're in recruiting. But for our recruiters, we have lots of metrics and lots of measures that they work across. Obviously, there's their income and their revenue. We're very transparent with that. All of our recruiters know exactly what their revenue is at any one time. So we have that accessible to them. They know how many placements that they've made. They're responsible for what the dollars are on that, whether they're temp, whether they're perm. So that's always very transparent. So they have a target or a budget that they're working towards. They have their own stretch targets. So they have, and their targets are not what we set, they're what they set. So they set their own revenue targets. With a bit of manipulation sometimes. So don't be telling me you're only going to do 25k months when the past 6 months you've been doing 50k months. So there's obviously some conversation around that, but they set their own revenue targets. We also have company targets on things like net promoter scores. So that's really high on our list. So we have a company goals, but they then have individual goals on those. They then have goals around things like their average fees or their fill rates, particularly fill rates. And because we work on mostly retained roles, our fill rates are generally high, but they measure themselves on those things, and they measure themselves on things like time to fill, fall-offs, things like that. So they're the various productivity measures. Time to fill's a big one that's become more available with our database recently. We didn't have that, but our database just spits that out to us on an individual and a team basis now, on a company basis, so we can see exactly what they are. But we have certain productivity measures as an organisation, then individual ones as well. And they change depending on where everybody is. If somebody's fairly new to a desk or if somebody's experienced on a desk, so they change and evolve. With our associates, you know, their productivity will be around registering new candidates. Not for our senior consultants who are not registering the candidates, their associates are. We don't have so many productivity measures on sales calls because many of our people don't need to do that. They've got established desks, so that we don't have set KPIs and things like that on there. But we do for some people who are growing their desks or maybe who are not as productive as they could be, who are wanting to grow from where they are to the next level. So they vary depending on what's right for the person. So we don't do a one-size-fits-all. We certainly flex depending on, you know, who's at what stage in their journey.
Nikki, we'd probably better finish up now because people have got meetings to go to, but are you okay to just stay around for a little bit if anyone has got further questions?
Absolutely.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And also I'm conscious of your you maintaining your voice after such a brilliant job. So really good. One of the most valuable sessions I've been to anyway. So
thank
you very much,
thank you
Nikki.
very
Really
much.
good. Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming, obviously, to Captain's Table. Thanks to our supporters who are always here supporting us. And there's a lot of people around the country that just missed out on some extremely valuable information, Nikki. So thank you very much for being so open and sharing. And if anyone does want to stick around and ask Nikki some more questions, please do so. I really appreciate all your efforts coming here to Captain's Table. And we've got something special lined up for you next month. So watch out for the emails. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.